Good Thursday afternoon. I'm Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's good to be with you. We are live in Charlottesville across the Commonwealth of Virginia, the United States of America, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Good program lined up. Aaron Watson, a photographer and entrepreneur, husband, father, man about town, certainly in the wedding industry. He's going to join us in about 16 minutes on this fine program where we're live on 12 Facebook pages. We're going to chitter-chatter his brand and his business, how it's evolved, how it's grown, how it's been impacted by COVID-19, like all our businesses, our lives, and our families. I'm excited to welcome him to the show. We are an advertising agency here. We work alongside so many small business owners, many in the restaurant industry, many in hospitality, many in services, many in financial, just across the board. Two of our favorites, Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Guys, those two businesses, as someone who's watching firsthand how local businesses are responding, reacting to a COVID-19 landscape and hardship that has never been seen in Charlottesville or the world. This is a pandemic, as we know. I've seen local businesses react for the betterment of the community, and Interstate and Scott Wagner certainly embody those qualities. Please remember that when considering your chiropractic, sports medicine, physical therapy needs, and any home service needs. I'd like to get to headlines. I have a voracious appetite for reading. Just am addicted to reading. It's one of my hobbies and pastimes. I want to go first to a national macro level, if we could, Judah. And headline number one, we now have another 4.4 million Americans that have filed for unemployment. That takes us to more than 26 million Americans as of this morning's Jobless report. Over 26 million Americans now on the unemployment line, unfortunately. This is the reality and why we're leading the program with it. And it's a reality. If there's any glimmer, and I don't think you can find glimmer of 26 million Americans out of work, 4.4 announced today. If there is a slight glimmer, last week, 6 million. I was in the 5 range last week. It started off at 6.6. 5 weeks in a row, man. 5 weeks in a row of pretty impactful numbers. We are seeing Georgia. I want to go quickly to the state of Georgia opening tomorrow and how that may impact the world and in the country. Georgia's governor, a Republican, is opening most of his state, to business and face-to-face interaction in a safe way. Friday, restaurants open in Georgia. Monday, movie theaters, music venues open in Georgia. South Carolina, Tennessee, following suit. Many of these states in the southeast leading the charge. I think it's extremely important. I've said on this program, there's a handful of barometers that are really going to help from a Charlottesville standpoint and a national standpoint. Barometers from a Charlottesville standpoint, UVA ones, graduation October 9th to 11th, is it going to happen? I said another key barometer here is the Jobless claims report. Last week it was 22 million. Now it's 26 million plus. That's an all-time high, and that's pretty damn concerning, okay? And then third barometer I said is you need the stamp of approval from the governor of your respective state or your respective commonwealth to say, here's the stamp of approval. It's okay to go and do some business. And that stamp of approval creates confidence. And some of the governors are more likely to give that stamp, Georgia, than others, Virginia. And I'm just analyzing. I'm not pressuring. I'm just analyzing what's happening. From a Commonwealth-wide level at the University of Virginia, Judah, the second headline, UVA, did this headline not get enough traction in the news cycle? They've issued $18 million in refunds to students for unused housing and dining costs. Think about that. On Tuesday's program, we do a second show on Tuesday called Real Talk. Myself and good friend and the star of the show, his name is Keith Smith. He made a mention to the UVA hospital losing $80 million a month. He mentioned on Real Talk. Here's a story in the Cavalier Daily that I don't think has gotten enough traction. UVA anticipating $18 million in losses from housing and dining rebates. Worth repeating, $18 million in losses from housing and dining rebates. The University of Virginia. It's rare that you see in any UVA headline. I'm a proud Charlottesvillian and I've lived in this community a long time. It's rare that you see in any UVA headline financially lost UVA financial. You may see it in football. Really not really much left really in football. I mean, what sport is struggling at UVA? The athletic department is freaking awesome and bona fide. You don't really see it in sports at UVA. Let's cut to you don't really see it tied to the UVA brand. $18 million. I'm surprised this hasn't gotten more traction in refunds for unused housing and dining costs. Interesting tidbit from this story that I found. The university decided not to refund tuition for the semester this spring. UVA not refunding tuition for the spring semester, but yes to $18 million in dining and housing credits. Next headline, 8 restaurants now closed in Richmond. Richmond Times-Dispatch had this headline late yesterday, 8 directly because of COVID-19. I'm texting with a couple of chefs now about the number in Charlottesville. The Richmond Times-Dispatch in the Richmond area has got a fantastic food scene. Fantastic brewery scene, fantastic food scene. 8 now whittled down. Tough times, as we know. Tijuana Flats, a fast casual in Willow Lawn. Hasta Luego. Fox and Hound, one of my faves. A sports bar in Chesterfield. All hasta luego. And Charlottesville, the icon we've seen was earlier this week, the Downtown Grille. And this led some of us on the I Love CVille network within the team and you, the viewer, to brainstorm this question. A restaurant like the Downtown Grille that has now announced its permanent closure, the Downtown Grille. What happens to that space? Like, that space is situated, I think we would all agree, for a lot of tables and sit-down service and dining in at a restaurant. And is that model now not archaic, but is that model now in need of a drastic change? And if so, does that drastic change in restaurants, how does it impact Class A downtown mall space like the Downtown Grille that is arguably one of the most important spots on the mall? I mean, besides the bookends, and the bookends I see is Joffrey Woodruff's Code and the Omni, and the other bookend is the Pavilion. Besides the bookends, can't we make a legitimate argument that the Downtown Grille is one of the best spots in downtown Charlottesville? What happens to the space? How long does it stay empty? What are the economics behind a trickle-over impact to other spaces there when a steakhouse of epic proportions in a 50,000 citizen town, 300,000 regionally in Central Virginia, what happens when this brand, which is backed by a restaurant group in the Perry Group, and the Perry Group has its hands in a lot of restaurants out of Lynchburg. Perry Group used to have its hands on Fry Springs Station before PK and Ben and Tommy Lastly took over Fry Springs Station. PK actually owns the gas station, and he's got a restaurant group with Tommy and Ben and himself, and they pay rent to PK and his ownership of this building. So what I'm saying is, what is going to happen to the space? Jacqueline Greiger, good friend of this program, she leaves this comment, and there's a few comments coming in for people in restaurants. She says, and she's Barbecue Exchange, she knows the business, she's running, can I say this, Jacqueline? I'd say a brand in a business that is doing north of $10 million a year before COVID-19. I'm going to say it. You didn't say it. I'm just doing projections there. Jacqueline. Jacqueline says this: it would make a pretty awesome event space if someone wanted to preserve that old school steakhouse vibe, totally different from anything else CVille has to offer. Roger Voisinay, welcome to the program. Jacqueline, that's an interesting comment. She says converting the Downtown Grille space to an event space. Interesting business model idea. What do you think, Roger? What do you think, Cindy, James, Jason, Brent, Jessica, Suzanne, Kate, April, Andre, Barbara, Jessica, Mark, goes on, Caitlin, Teresa Davis? What do you do with the Downtown Grille? What is going to happen? I just showed the headline. Show the headline again if you could, Judah. I just showed a headline from Richmond and yesterday. 8 restaurants now closed in Richmond because of COVID-19 permanently. We have one that I can count of in the Downtown Grille. Please correct me if I'm wrong and leave your comment in the comment section. Is there any other restaurant that is permanently closed because of COVID-19? One that I can think of at Downtown Grille. I think it's important that we keep a running tally. What happens to that space? What is going to go there? Andre Xavier says, the question is, how much is the rent? Absolutely. The question also is, Andre, taking it a step further, can the rent that is currently being asked be maintained moving forward? What are the landlords going to do? And I'm one myself. Although my business model is an executive office space game downtown, it's still a landlord of 20,000 square feet downtown. Welcome, Jen Finazzo, to the program. What happens to the Downtown Grille space? And I think the Downtown Association, the Downtown Business Owners Association, should convene. And a lot of the members of the Downtown Business Owners Association are watching now. I think the Downtown Business Owners Association needs to convene. City Council needs to convene and create a strategy for doing a plan of attack for what to do with empty, prominent spaces in locales like downtown, specifically a space like the Downtown Grille. Because if you have spaces, and it's a phenomenon, if you have spaces that stay vacant or shuttered or not open for an extended period of time, it has a trickle over effect or a perception impact. Reality, perception is reality. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. Okay? And you don't want one of your iconic spots open. Kate Elwood says this. She's a prominent name in the restaurant game. She's watching. She says, Jerry, we'll have a lot of empty storefronts for some time when restaurants permanently close. Sadly, I like the event space idea from Jacqueline, but for some time that won't be feasible with the guidelines they'll have in place for gatherings. That's a good point, Kate. Chef Diana, is it Serbatri? Welcome to the program. Chef, she says, I can't really have events when people can't convene. She says is saying what Kate says. They've also talked about how it may travel through air conditioning and in enclosed spaces. Totally get that. We basically got to figure out a light to the end of the tunnel, get solution here. Maybe that's the first step, which would be horrifying, because if you're basically saying, and the conversation is this, if the conversation is the spaces stay open, spaces of this magnitude where you need a 5, 7, or 10-year lease probably to play. To get a space like that, you probably need a 5, 7, or 10-year commitment. Johnny Pritzloff. Is Johnny Pritzloff on the feed? Somebody get Lee Hughes or Johnny Pritzloff and tag him on the feed. A space like that, 5, 7, 10-year commitment. I think you're going to be looking at a 3, 4, 5% escalator every single year. Hell, it could even adjust to market, but a 3, 4, 5% fix, you want to get something like that if you're negotiating the deal. You get some options on the back end, but you're probably looking at like a $15,000 to $22,000 a month commitment. I think Rapture's like $19K. I think that's probably $15,000 to $22K a month. It's a good topic. Let's keep this going. I want to keep this topic going of what will happen with spaces like the Downtown Grille and other Class A spaces that otherwise have been coveted and so in demand that the space never went on the market when it closed. It already had somebody coming in and buying the lease. That's how hot restaurants were in Charlottesville. When a restaurant was failing and it had a good location, the restaurant was able to sell its lease position and some of its kitchen and restaurant wares to another aspiring restaurateur for a chunk of money. I'm not talking get rich money, but I'm talking like 50, 100K in the heyday. I'll repeat it. When a restaurant was failing, that restaurateur was able to sell his lease position in his failing or her failing restaurant to another aspiring restaurateur and say, you can buy me and give me a bag of money to get me out of this lease and then sign your name over to this landlord for the next 10 years of your life. That's how strong it was. That's not the case right now. That is not the case right now. Kate Elwood says we'll see more community kitchens and ghost kitchen concepts. I agree 100%, Kate. More community kitchens and more food trucks. I'm on a text chain with some buddies, and one of them, Jason Johnson, who owns a glamping company locally. Jason Johnson, a prominent guy, he envisions a world where it's more restaurant coalitions, like restaurants, potentially rival restaurant owners, like a Citizen versus a Whiskey Jar, or like a Zocalo versus a Commonwealth, the owners behind these brands. Maybe down the road, Jason predicts there's a coalition of these guys. They band together to form an association, and they leverage the purchasing power of an association and the economies of scale of an association by having a bunch of chefs under one brand or an umbrella, a holding company, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And they are able to then negotiate with the Ciscos of the world and the purveyors of the world and use their purchasing power to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of savings. That's a very entrepreneurial idea. That's very intelligent. That's extremely intelligent. That's something that should be undoubtedly considered. Undoubtedly considered. Ed Lauterbach, welcome to the program. Andre says, you're absolutely right. I'm looking right now on the ghost kitchen concept. Andre, the entrepreneur, is looking at ghost kitchens. Kate and Andre, you guys should connect somehow. Kate is an aspiring nonprofit and business owner. In fact, she's got the Charlottesville restaurant fund where she's freaking killing it. Aren't you chasing $200K for the restaurant fund now, Kate? She and Andre Xavier and John Craig and CVille Hop on Tours would make a phenomenal partnership. Judah, I'm going to go to Skype. Aaron, I'm about 60 seconds behind, and I apologize. I'm going to get Aaron Watson on the line. Are you ready to rock and roll with that, Judah Wickhauer? Jen Finazzo, I love Jen Finazzo. Jen, remember sushi? Jen Finazzo's ownership of Sal's Cafe Italia. She says ghost kitchen concepts are intriguing, of course, but when you're looking at extreme oversaturation, but then you're looking at over-extreme saturation, even more so than the downtown mall. Watch that mouth. I know, Jen. I'm sorry. Oh, Jen Finazzo's great. Sal's Cafe Italia. All right, let's go to Watson. I'm Skyping him. Aaron Watson coming up. Put some comments in there, and I'll relay them to you. Jessica Davis, I'll get to your comment. Wow, that's a long comment, Jessica. This show is burning up right now. 12 Facebook pages. I got Aaron on the line, Judah. Before we go to Aaron, he's good? All right. Aaron Watson, we now have you live on 12 Facebook pages here on the I Love CVille network. First, we were talking during the Skype test session. That is the best giant-sized teddy bear I've ever seen.
I figured to put a little smile on some people's faces, and we don't have the backdrop you necessarily have, so we had to create our own.
Well, my friend, and by my friend, we have yet to meet in person. We are meeting virtually, which I think is a byproduct of COVID-19 in this world. Yeah. Before we go down that road, just you and who you are and what you are all about.
Sure. Well, again, thank you for having me on the show, and hello to everyone. I'm Aaron Watson, a photographer locally here in Charlottesville. I actually grew up in Charlottesville, started in photography about 16 years ago. I had the opportunity and the luck to start right out of high school working for my photography teacher, Rob Garland, who was a great mentor to me, and ended up starting my business in 2007. We do wedding photography, family portraits, and commercial photography. And recently we've started expanding a little bit more, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, it's been a long road. I actually started right before everything happened in 2008, so I feel like this is a little bit the same and a lot different at the same way.
We have that in common. My business, 12 years old, May 31st, 2008. When is your anniversary?
January 1st, 2007 was when I started.
Okay. How about that? That's a defining situation. And let me give you some props first. You got a lot of people giving you a lot of props right now. Charlie Xavier is saying, hey, Aaron. Jamie Schwartz is watching right now and says, hi, Aaron. Barbara Lundgren says, hi, Aaron, you rock. Your wonderful better half says, hi, hubby. She's probably watching in the other room right around the corner from you right now. A lot of supporters out there. I often think about launching a business in a recession, and it was so hard. I can't even imagine doing what you do and that economic climate. Can you give us a snapshot?
As far as back then? I actually, contrary to popular belief, I think it's actually easier to be at the beginning of your business versus in a place where we are right
100%.
now. Because we have a lot more overhead right now. It is a lot harder. There's a lot more to worry about. Back then, I was young. I could live at home. There was so much that I could take advantage of that it didn't really faze me as much as I thought. And actually coming out of it, I was able to take advantage of a lot of the opportunities that came out of it. And I just did what I knew how to do, and was always looking for a way to expand and continue and just do the best I could. So back then, I don't think I quite understood everything as well as I understand it now.
So Cindy at Keswick Vineyards has some props for you. Cindy and her fabulous husband Al watch this program routinely, and she says this: Aaron, and your expertise for photography are why there are no reason whatsoever for any wedding couple to get married outside of Charlottesville. This guy's work is A++++. Absolutely amazing photographer. Charlottesville and what it means to you.
Oh yeah, it's I was born and raised here. A lot of people actually think I'm from Boston for some reason because I'm a Patriots Red Sox fan. My family's from up there, but I was born and raised in Charlottesville. And, I grew up here. I've seen it change. Especially in my adult years, it's just become amazing, like nothing I could have expected. And I think that's one of the things that we can also take is that we can't all see the future, but seeing as where we were, what we've gone through, and what Charlottesville's become, I only have the thought that it's going to become even better, and that this is going to make us stronger. There's a lot of different sayings, but one of the ones I've been thinking about is that life doesn't give you what you want, but it gives you what you need. And so this may, as terrible as that might seem in this sense, and I feel for everybody who's personally being affected by this, there's, especially if you're religious, there's certain things that you can feel and take away from this that will then, help you build and become stronger. And so that's how I'm looking at everything. Is that, oh, geez. In this situation, I don't know in this particular situation what that's going to relate to. How I relate it to is how I got started was that, a big pivotal moment in my life was that my father passed away when I was young, 17, and I, for many years, was looking at, why and how and all these different things. But I then was able to change my attitude and think through it. And I, the day he passed away was actually the day that I said, I'm going to become a photographer. And I had no idea what that meant at the time, but now I see, as much as I hurt from that, I've become so much stronger and become who I am because of it. And that's not the same situation that a lot of people, and it is actually somewhat the same situation people are going through, but I feel that we'll become stronger because of this.
That's beautiful. Ray Cadell, Aaron Watson is a first-class photographer and gentleman. I always enjoy working with him. Charlie says Aaron is exactly right. It's a lot tougher when you've been in business a lot longer. You launch a career the day your father passes?
It wasn't a career at that point. It was an idea. It was an idea. He, the last thing that I ever talked to him about was buying a camera. It was literally the last thing I ever talked to him about. It was very emotional. It's something that I've built. kept as like my rock, basically, why I do things. And these days, you've touched on it a little bit, like I have a family now, a young son who's a year and a half, and those are the reasons why we do these things. And so that's I think that's going to be how everybody comes forward, is you think about who you do this for, what you do it for, and that will, if you base your decisions and your guiding light based upon that, I think is going to help.
Beautiful. Green Dogs Unleashed founder Erica Renee is watching the program in Fluvanna County. Hello, Erica. The wedding community in this region in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, I mean, we've featured a few of you guys on the program, and the thing that keeps coming up is like community, rising tide, good for all ships. I mean, sense of family. Right. Give us some perspective.
Yeah. I think one of the great things is that we have, you had Claire on, she talked about the CCWP. That group of wedding vendors is great. We are so close. We love each other. We love seeing each other. And that bond helps us because we can talk through, what's going on, what people are experiencing, the good, the bad, how we can get through it. And we actually, I think it's next week or the week after, we're going to have a get together via Zoom, I think, and talk about everything. I just feel like we're all there for each other, which is very helpful.
Erica Renee says you're absolutely incredible.
She is incredible.
She is incredible. And she also added that you capture the essence of each of my kids, and we could not be happier with your photography. Erica Renee, who's left this comment, has a nonprofit that offers resources for dogs with special needs. I mean, it's such an amazing endeavor, Green Dogs Unleashed. We'll get to more comments here. Before we do more with Aaron Watson, we asked this of Adam yesterday. What is going to be the future? You're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman, you got some visionary to you. What is going to be the future of the space? I'm sure you've thought about it. I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yeah. I watched what Adam had to say, and I thought it was great. He's very straightforward. He's great for his couples and being able to give them the type of support that they need. And I think that was definitely what showed. I could see it going two very different opposite ways. It could be back to normal, or we could get obliterated, honestly, in the next months if events do get either capped more than we hope, or if they just are still banned for past June. So there's the fear. There's so many different emotions. I think honestly it's going to be somewhere in between, and I can't say for certain what it's going to look like. We're just working within the knowledge and the parameters that we have right now, and telling our couples, here's, treat it like a rain plan. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to have it rain on your wedding day, but you treat it like a rain plan. It's much easier to comprehend and digest and plan for what may or may not happen.
You're getting more props, dude. You're a popular guy here. Andre Xavier. Aaron is a very talented photographer and a smart businessman. I wish him the best. Hunter Smith is watching from Champion Brewing Company. Harrison Keevil from Keevil & Keevil Kitchen. Al Zappa, the fabulous barkeep at Rapture Restaurant, watching here on the I Love CVille Show with Aaron Watson. All right, let's get two entrepreneurs spitballing back and forth here, okay? I love this topic. Two guys at a bar shooting the shit here. The space, photographer, videographer, moving forward, I think there may be a larger prioritization on video and virtual streaming for people to enjoy weddings. And I think if there's a larger prioritization for virtual streaming, because there could be less people in person because of restrictions for COVID-19, as we know, they're going to still want to watch the wedding, and they're going to do it virtually from a device at their home or somewhere of their leisure. That may pivot the category and prioritize videography and virtual streaming a little bit more and wedding execution. Your thoughts on the topic?
Oh, that's a good one. Something some people know about me, some don't. We actually had a video business a while ago. So I started up a video business called Exist in Motion. It was before it was popular. We shut it down before it became popular, just to focus back on what we do best, which is the photography. I think video is a polarizing aspect. When we talk to our couples, there's couples that absolutely have to have it, and there's couples that, no, it's not interesting. We had video for our wedding. Beautiful video, loved it. We loved the couple that we worked with, and
it was our biggest regret. My wife and I's biggest regret from our wedding, and it was her family's from Long Island, and they had a budget for a Long Island wedding, and somehow I was able to persuade this fabulous family to do the wedding in Charlottesville, and the budget came in less, even though Charlottesville's expensive. Certainly less than Long Island when compared to Long Island, if you see what I'm saying. So we went completely balls to the wall, and I don't think my mother-in-law would use the phrase balls to the wall, but I do. We went balls to the wall on this wedding, and the only thing we did not do was the video. So that's what I was asking, is like, that's one thing we wish we had done.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I think that is the thing. Some people do it and they're like, gosh, why did I do that? Some people don't do it. Everything's grass is greener on the other side. But at the end of the day, here's what we tell our couples. If you're going to do it, spend the money on it. The couples who come to us and like, we have a shoestring budget, we honestly totally understand, respect that. But the biggest mistake is you spend money on something that you don't love, that you don't actually watch over and over again. And we decided to splurge and spend money on video as well as the photography. And we watched that video over and over and over and over again. So I think the thing is whether, people do it more, whether it becomes more prioritized, I don't know. But I think good videography is what needs to be prioritized. And that's what's going to be important.
People are agreeing with you. Charlie, Xavier says, our biggest regret was having an uncle and a cousin try to capture our wedding on video 12 years ago. It was no bueno. Cindy at Keswick says, so happy Al and I had our wedding videotaped. Can't have a redo of that day, so it will live forever on tape to be able to share for generations to come. I respect the tape aspect of your comment there, Cindy. Barbara Lundgren says, live stream will be challenging at many venues with poor cell service. That is a very good point, Barbara Lundgren, the fabulous wedding planner. Jamie Schwartz says, Aaron has done an amazing job at capturing so many happy couples and moments in life. Photography is always something that will be needed. This is just a hiatus. You're getting some props here. Jessica Callahan says, I wish I had done the video. Having Aaron as our photographer was our big splurge, and we couldn't be happier. All right, throw this to you. Before we get to a new brand and a new idea you're launching, I want to give you some props, and maybe I should give your better half that's watching, I think, around the corner.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
Lisa.
all right, so we're going to give Elisa some props. Okay, they did this fabulous idea on Easter Sunday. I have a 2-year-old. Yours is 1.5? Okay, I have a 2-year-old, and we were bummed we couldn't do the Easter egg hunt on Easter Sunday with our little 2-year-old. At 1, he wasn't really walking, so we couldn't do it. At 2, he could go around the yard with other kids and pick up some eggs. We couldn't do it in our respective neighborhoods. We live in the same neighborhoods, right around the street from each other. So on the trail around our neighborhood, like the bike path, asphalt bike path that goes around our neighborhood, this guy and his family did chalk drawings of Easter eggs for a virtual Easter egg hunt with its own hashtag for people around the neighborhood. And Aaron, I know this is 100% true. Our family probably spent I say close to 90 minutes with a happy kid. And if you have a happy kid for 90 minutes, your wife is happy. And if your wife is happy and your dad and your kid is happy, that means dad can have a bourbon and relax. 90 minutes. Thank you for this.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, but absolutely, like you said, Lisa, she definitely helped with just bringing up the idea, fleshing it out. Lauren, who works with us, is an amazing artist. She's our employee. She came out and showed us how to do the eggs in the right way, and then the three of us went around the neighborhood and did, I think, over 100 eggs. Started at like 10 a.m. in the morning and finished around 5 in the afternoon after a lunch break. So it was fun to see everybody's reactions, and then we had friends, clients, people that weren't even in the neighborhood start to do it on their own, in their own in their own driveway, in their own neighborhoods, and I love that.
We got an interesting comment that's come in here, and it's from someone who's admired the business that you've built. And this show, guys, live on 12 Facebook pages. One of the comments that's come in for Aaron is, "I've admired the business that you've built. Jerry, I enjoy your show. Please don't use my name, but please ask," interestingly said Mr. Watson, "please ask Mr. Watson what he did to help relax his clients. I'm a wedding photographer myself, and when he thinks that we can start earning money to pay our bills again." Good question.
First thing, people want it honest and straightforward. I don't know if it's cut to the chase, but they understand. They don't need to be baby. They just understand that stuff is happening and they want it straightforward. So that's the biggest thing. Second thing, understanding what they're going through. In anything that we do, it's not about our perspective, but it's about whoever that we're talking to. It's their perspective, and finding what's their perspective, and being able to discuss it in that way. Being there for them, just talking to them, but also having a plan in place. Like, I don't talk to them and say, "Hey, well, what do you want to do?" Like this and that. No, we're like, "Hey, here's what we're going to recommend. You have a lot of unanswered questions. We have a lot of unanswered questions, but this is my recommendation. What do you think?" And that type of approach I found to work. I'm going to give Adam props, because I've worked with him for many years. When I first met him at Keswick Hall, I don't know how many years ago, but I took that little piece of how he is and who he is, and have incorporated that into what we do, and it just is. It's I think the best way to approach things.
Your team member Christine watching the show, she says she loves working for you guys. Claire Francis watching says you're absolutely the best, super talented, a real team player. Jen Steer watching the program. Christina Hoffman, hello. Amy Medellin, hello. All right, a couple more moments here with Aaron Watson, who's been kind enough to give us some of his time here on the I Love CVille Show. Give us some insight into what you're building now.
Yeah, so, we're very excited. There's a lot of things we wanted to do for a long time, but we've never really had the opportunity to. So what we are looking at is that this, again, from that saying before, like, life doesn't give you what you want, but gives you what you need. And we needed, honestly, be able to take a step back, look at what we're doing, talk a little bit about, what opportunities we have, things that we've wanted to do, we haven't been able to do. And we've been doing landscape photography alongside of our wedding photography and commercial photography and portrait photography for a while. And it's been kind of a passion project. We, a few years ago started selling some of the landscape artwork to interior designers and their clients, and doing some really cool things with that. And when all this happened, I was like, we want to really build this more. This could be a great opportunity to do that. And so what we've done is we've started a new venture called Artwork for a Cause. And the idea here is that it's blending two things that we do. One is the artwork and the landscape photography, but the other thing is that we've, for many years, had a philanthropic part of the business, which is we've raised awareness, we've raised funds, donated to different charities. I've been on the board of one. I've helped organize some. And when all this hit, a lot of the silent auctions and events that these charities put on have just been canceled. And so these charities are also hurting in being able to raise funds. So I said, you know what, let's go ahead and start this Artwork for a Cause, bring the two together. 25% of every purchase is going to be donated to a different cause that we'll pick each month. We started with the Charlottesville Restaurant Fund because I love what Kate's
Amazing.
doing, and
Yeah.
I love when you can see where the money's
She's
going. I
watching
love when
right
you
now.
see the
Kate's watching
testimonies.
right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Kate. I
Me
admire
too.
her, and I admire how she's taken the opportunity and a bad situation and made something from it, because that's what we're doing. So yeah, our inaugural cause, we started as just like we put something out on Facebook and did a little something small, and within like 48 hours we had a few people go ahead and purchase artwork. We're able to make a $300 donation, and now we're really formally launching Artwork for a Cause. We have a website, artworkforacause.com, and you can go on there, see our local Charlottesville landscapes as well as some of my travel photography, and purchase it for your home, for your office. And again, 25% of the proceeds will go to Charlottesville Restaurant Fund through May 15th, and then we'll be picking another cause after that.
It's beautiful. One of your clients, Ashley Journey, the fabulous realtor. Ashley, I saw the fabulous branding sign, Ashley, that you had on High Street for, I think it was your listing, I believe. I really enjoyed how you used your picture and the signage, Ashley. Very well done. She says, Aaron, I cannot wait for you to photograph my dream wedding on August 1st, 2020. She says, you are an absolutely amazing talent behind the camera.
Thank you, Ashley. She's awesome.
You're evidently, you and your family, very popular guy and your family, because I'm not going to be able to get to all these comments. Lauren's watching the show. She said there was a chalk egg in front of our house, and it made the day for our little boy. Diana Thomas. Hi, Aaron. We're happy you chose to settle down in the neighborhood you did. Your painted Easter eggs throughout the neighborhood were fabulous. Diane Thomas. Dennis Fryer, Aaron is the absolute best. It goes on and on and on. And why don't we close with a little positivity here? I mean, I close on this. Charlottesville and what we're seeing now, and like the hope and the sense of community and family and love. I mean, I love it, man. This is why we chose to. I mean, you were born and raised here. I've been here since the first year at UVA. I've been here 20 years. And I knew right away, I'm like, this place is going to be my home. I freaking love it here. I love the people. I love everything that it has to offer. That whole topic to you, and we'll close on that, Aaron.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. It's been a tough time for many people, us included. But we're going to get through it. We're going to be stronger. Charlottesville's may look a little bit different, but it may look a little bit better, and that's what we're hoping for. I think that's what we're all steering for, is to make things continue to look better.
It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate being on the show, and great job with everything. I think you've been doing just such a wonderful job for the community, and really I've enjoyed it so much being able to see everybody talk. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Aaron Watson, guys. You have a good one. This show live on 12 Facebook pages. Ashley, you are welcome. Check out her fabulous signage on High Street. I really was impressed by it. I'm a branding guy, owner of an advertising agency. I want to close on a couple things. The show live on 12 Facebook pages, so if you have any comments you want to get to, I'm happy to relay them on air. The topic that we launched the program with, I like to dot the I's and cross the T's with what we started the program with for those who are just tuning in. We do it at the back end of the show in rapid fire fashion, so you're caught up to speed. Oftentimes when we do the I Love CVille show Monday through Friday, 12:30 to about 1:30, we're taking from topics from previous shows or interviews and weaving them in over the course of the week. So that's why we do this Cliff Notes version of headlines to recap. Before we do, I think anyone that's watching the show, I'm trying with this platform that we have, and I understand the value and the reach that I have in the community. I understand the value, the reach, and the influence, okay? And I don't take it for granted. And we use it for good. And one of the topics that we're trying to emphasize that's good is opportunities for people that have been impacted by COVID-19 from a job standpoint. They're struggling making revenue, Okay? I need to add another one to the list after this interview with Aaron. I think live video streaming of events is going to be undoubtedly a revenue stream and a job in a job category that comes out of COVID-19. Like if you have a Little League baseball game and you can't have a ton of people in attendance, but you're able to hop on a live stream, and either that live stream is done, whether it's the Little League itself hires the videographer to create the live stream for the Facebook page or the website, or it's an enterprising business owner or photographer or videographer creating a portal of live streamed content and selling subscriptions for it, where people can pay X amount of dollars a month to have access to this vault of local live stream content. That's going to be a gap and a hole in the market that people are going to be able to fill. A wedding. What if you can have weddings that are 150 or 200 people? What if you can have weddings that are 150 people? Will humans want to go to a 150-person wedding and sit in a bus, an airplane, travel on public transportation, go to a hotel, use Uber, restaurants they don't know, sit in a shuttle to and from the event? Will people want to do that again? We don't know. And if they don't, it's going to prioritize the video streaming of the event. And someone's going to fill that role and create a huge job market and a huge career for themselves and can literally build a company. And you can do it local, local, local. As a businessman that tries to build something that's sustainable, I would think the best way to do it would be someone to be a content creator and create a vault of content. And that vault of content is archived on a website, and people have a monthly subscription that they pay to access this vault of content, whether it's sports in the area, high school, little league, swim meets, junior varsity football, golf meets, track meets, Jefferson Swim League, cross country, whether it's local government, city council. You see where I'm getting at. I'm going to add that to the list, Judah. Judah Wickhauer is our director. I think there's a need for somebody to start a business that's delivery, that delivers groceries and meals from restaurants and items from retail stores in Charlottesville. Someone should launch that business. I think food trucks are going to be emphasized more than ever. Food trucks will be emphasized more than ever. And I've now picked another one that I think will undoubtedly crush it. Live streaming services provider. That's a good idea. All right, let's close on this. And I'm watching the stock market here, invested myself, up and down, impacts so many aspects of our life. Gold is at its highest point since April 16th. Gold at its highest point since April 16th. New York and New Jersey, their COVID numbers are improving. New York and New Jersey. New York and New Jersey, the black hole or the epicenter of COVID-19, where deaths and confirmed cases are exponentially worse than anywhere else in the country. New York and New Jersey, numbers are improving. And then we close on the Downtown Grille idea and get people talking. What happens to the Downtown Grille? What happens to the Class A office spaces that are left behind? Do they become derelict? And do they become a ghost town? And do they become a shadow of their former selves? And its former self was a luxurious, iconic, memorable steakhouse celebrated and enjoyed for anniversaries and special occasions for generations of people in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. What happens to the structure and the location? You're probably looking at, Johnny Pritzloff and Lee Hughes could give us a better example. You're probably looking at in the neighborhood, give or take a few thousand on either side, of what, $18K a month in rent, $18,000 a month in rent. You're going to looking at 5, 7, 10-year commitment and an increase every year. What happens to the restaurant spaces if they continue to close? I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille Show. Lee Elberson tomorrow, Chief Executive Officer, Claiborne Education, and possibly Melissa Close-Hart, Melissa Close-Hart, Executive Chef, thank you, Executive Chef at Junction Restaurant, and a good friend of the show. Take care, guys.